but his energy was raw and contagious. Our assignment was simple: knock on doors in a neighborhood of small, weathered houses in a town along the outskirts of Nashua. It was one of those quiet pockets of New Hampshire where people still believed that the right conversation, the right person knocking could make a difference. And over the next many hours, we covered what must have been hundreds of doors. Some people shut the door politely, as they often do. Others invited us onto the porch. And I remember one older woman, her hands brown from years of gardening, telling us she'd seen too many people let down by promises. And Charlie knelt slightly so she wouldn't have to look up at him so uncomfortably and said, "I know we've heard things before, and I believe this candidate is someone who has to prove it. But I believe people like you are the proof that someone still listening matters." Years later, I reflected. That day wasn't about winning in New Hampshire, although we believed we could, but about making connections, about working alongside this young man, barely old enough to vote, invest everything he had into people he would never see again, just like you candidates are doing here in Coventry. Charlie said to me quietly at the end of the night as we drove back in the dark, "Even if one door opens, just a little, that's enough." And in that moment, I knew I believed him. I kept in touch with Charlie for a period after that. He followed me on what was then Twitter and would give me ideas. But he often stressed the importance of unity, that unity does not mean we all think the same, but that we care enough to talk to one another, especially when we don't agree. Whether we're talking to fellow Republicans or a leftist Democrat, and to treat everyone with kindness and respect, even as they attempt to degrade or mock us, but to always push back, to never miss an opportunity to voice your opinion, to speak your mind into the world, but you damn well better have the facts to back it up. Charlie once said, "If your ideas are true, you should want them debated." That's why we don't run from the public square. We march right into it. We don't whisper what we believe. We declare it boldly. Faith in the one true God, freedom for our families, and a future built on truth, not tyranny. Charlie's assassination was intended to break us, to bring the spirit of fear into our hearts. But it lit a fire in all of us. I know you feel it too. And no one will extinguish that. We're called to courage in this moment, not retreat. Even here in a small town election, you will prove that his fight was not in vain. This is where the battle begins, not in marble halls in Hartford or Washington, but on our streets, at our doors, in our churches, in every handshake, in every vote. The heart of America beats strongest when ordinary people rise up together. We don't have to mourn in silence any longer. We can roar with conviction that this town will not bow, our values will not bend, and we will not surrender. You can clap for that. We're not here to hide, we're here to stand up. We're here to fight for those among us unable to fight for themselves. For every parent who's been silenced at a school board meeting. For every small business buried under red tape. For every neighbor who still believes that America is worth defending. Let's be clear. Division is their weapon. But unity is ours. As Jesus said in Mark 3:25, a house divided against itself cannot stand. So we will not be divided. Not by petty arguments, not by fear, not by those who mock us. Listen, without God, there is no freedom. Without God, there is no America. And without us, without you, there's no future for this town. That's why tonight we don't sit quietly. We rise up. We rally together. We strengthen each other. We support each other. We prepare for battle at the ballot box. Proverbs 29:18 tells us, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Well, our vision is crystal clear. We see a town where real faith is honored, not hidden, where families lead, not special interest groups, where freedom is not handed down by government, but granted by God. So I ask you, are you ready to fight?
Yes.
Are you ready to unite behind our candidates and prove that when we come together, no amount of fear or violence from the other side will ever break us?
Yes.
Because I promise you this, we will not be silent. We will not be pushed aside, and with God as our strength, we will not be defeated here or anywhere. So let's get out there. We need to change hearts and minds, fight for our community and our country. Let's win this election together. God bless you. God bless Coventry.
Guys, I'll pick up the rear.
Well, you're gonna have to kind of go in my order. So Courtney leads, and then Chrissy, then Mark. Okay.
Hey everyone. Hi.
Hey Courtney.
Hey. Woo. Hi. So I'm Courtney. I'm honored to be running for my third term for the Board of Education this year. When I first joined the Board of Ed, my goal was simple: to ensure that every Coventry student, from preschool to graduation, has access to safe, supportive, and high-quality education. Over these past terms, I've worked hard to keep that promise. I've been proud to support initiatives that strengthen academic achievement, promote transparency, and prioritize the well-being of both students and staff. But there's still more work to do. As our town continues to grow and change, our schools must continue to evolve with it. I'm committed to maintaining fiscal responsibility while ensuring our classrooms have the resources they need. I'll continue to advocate for strong communication between the board, our educators, and our families, because collaboration builds trust, and trust builds great schools. I believe deeply in this community, in our teachers who go above and beyond, in our families who show up and stay involved, and in our students who inspire us every day to ask more questions, dig deeper. As our friend Charlie Kirks once said, our party often says, "Oh, forget it, I don't need politics. Politics are all just corrupt." In Jeremiah 29:7, it says, "Demand the welfare of the nation that you are in, because the welfare is tied to your nation's welfare." God is commanding you to not give up, to not surrender. And guess what? If you're unsuccessful, you were still obedient and you still did the right thing. I stand before you tonight as a conservative woman, a wife, a mother, and a community member that is being called by God to continue fighting, continuing to do right by my family, my friends, and my faith, and continue to love thy neighbor regardless of political affiliation. So as I seek a third term, I ask for your support to continue this important work, to build on our progress, to face challenges with honesty and compassion, and to keep Coventry schools moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Chrissy Williams. I am running for my fourth term on the Board of Ed. 13 years ago, we chose Coventry. My husband was raised here to raise our children. And why did we pick Coventry? Because our schools are fantastic. Over the last couple of decades, We have worked really hard to put in transparent curriculum with robust programming, challenge and enrichment. The state mandates that we take care of our special needs, but they do not mandate that we take care of our kids that are doing really well. But we put in challenge and enrichment programs. We put in programming in place that gives a child the fundamentals, the reading, the writing, but also teaches them art and history and world language. And over the last year, our school district went under attack because our budget went really high because of some state choices. And instead of looking at our budget situation differently, we went business as usual, just like we have for the last 6 years I've sat on the Board of Ed. We budget in silos. The town council does theirs, the Board of Ed does theirs, and we stopped thinking differently. We said, oh, we're just gonna do this the way it is and lob cuts back and forth. And you know who loses? Everyone. We all lose in town when we do that because we're not thinking creatively. There are ways that we can make this town and keep this town affordable for all of us, but we have to do business differently. And we need to put people in the offices that will do business differently. So what does that look like? That looks like shared services. And when we say shared services, that might be IT, that might be facilities, that might be maintenance. That might be shared services not just with each other, but with a local town next to us. So how do we regionalize it? IT can't be shared. You want to know why? Because we can't share the body cam footages with the police department. But you know who can? Another police department. They can share IT. Guess what? But we're not doing that. And there's cost savings in every bit of it. And unless we start looking at our budget differently, we are going to continue to attack our services that we need. Last year we lost challenge and enrichment for K to 5. So that means the 700 kids that we have in K to 5 that were looking for enrichment aren't going to get it. They were going to sit in a classroom waiting for their peers to catch up to where they were. We thankfully had a donation, an anonymous donation that put challenge and enrichment back for K through 5 for 1 year only. It's not in our budget, and it's absolutely a threat when we go to our next budgeting cycle. And if we keep doing budget as usual, it won't be a program that we can offer anymore. I live in Coventry because I have 4 kids and I love our schools. But we have to think about doing things differently. We have to think about regionalizing. We have to think about shared services. We have to think about ways to structurally remove costs from our budget. So year over year, we can continue to see our programming without taking our cost of living out of control. There are ways to do it, but we must insist on different solutions. We must insist that we cannot operate as business as usual. And to do that, we need a majority in both the town council and the Board of Ed. So I encourage you to go out and vote, not November 4th, but October 20th. And then tell your neighbors October 21st to go vote. And they have to tell theirs because it's really important. What's at stake right now isn't just another majority, it's business as usual. It's continued tax hikes. It's continued lost programming. And our next generation can't manage that. It's not their fault, and they deserve to have the strong schools we've worked so hard to build up. So if you love Coventry as much as I do, and you love our schools, and you love what they're doing, please go out and vote. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Mark Larson. I've lived in town since 2000. And I saw the world falling apart. My eyes were opened when COVID hit, and that's when I really saw how the world works. It's quite corrupt. So that's why I'm here, to try to fix the corruption. I'm the kind of guy that loves learning constantly, going down, deeply analyzing situations. I do a lot of reading. One of the things I want to offer you and your children, your grandchildren in town, what drives me is fear. Fear of my grandkids, my 2 granddaughters. We all live together right now. My wife and I are going to be building a new house this coming year. But I fear their future unless we have a really good understanding of what the school, what's required within the school system so that they can compete 15, 20 years from now, and they can afford a house to live here in Coventry. It looks very difficult right now. So I have an appointment tomorrow with Dr. Patron to present some ideas I have. There are a few towns in the state that has a biannual career day. I want to connect kids to the future at a young age, like starting in 7th grade. And there's some people out here in the audience I might be in the future, if I'm elected, asking to come speak, for example, people with successful careers, so that the kids at a young age get an understanding of how to not go into $200,000 debt at Trinity College, right? In a communications degree, or I shouldn't get myself in trouble if I say something, but you have to have the right investment in education. I also have a banking background. I was a banker for a few years before I got into healthcare. So I'm able to look at financial statements and explain. I love to teach. I like to teach the community how the finances work for the town. I have a whole lot to learn, but you will see me grow, and I will be putting out videos to explaining the complex financial issues within the town. So I'm going to pass the mic. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Clark. I'm brand new to this. What I will say first is, I love what you said. We're here to work. And I think being a part of this team, this incredible team, from everybody that came to speak to the leadership now, to the Board of Education and the Town Council current, I've learned so much in the last couple of months. It's incredible. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this team and be in this room with you, and the past leadership as well. I appreciate you. So round of applause for yourselves for being so supportive and creating such a great team. He's telling me I'm too close. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So I'll give you a little background about myself. I am too close, I was. Little background about myself. I've been in uniform since I was 18 years old. Currently I'm in law enforcement, I'm a lieutenant. I'm the accreditation manager, as well as the investigations. And I'll tell you how this works later, because it's going to be a part of my mission. Before that, I was in corrections. I was in the United States Army before that, and I was a security guard when I was 17 years old. So probably since I was 17, been in uniform. So I respect this country, I respect service, and I think you need to work hard for what we are going to achieve. I've seen a lot of shifting over the last 4 or 5 years, especially in the school system, things that I didn't appreciate. As a parent, it's very hard. I remember when I have 2 sons. One's with special needs. He's 3 years old, and I have a 6-year-old. Sending them off to school for the first time was one of the scariest things. I don't even know why. I usually pride myself in being really proud. And then, I almost cried when I sent my first son to school. Because we're usually in control of everything, right? We're in control of whether or not I'm a car seat safety installation expert, so I'm making sure that our car seats are right, everything. We're making sure they're eating right, they're not venturing off and doing the wrong things. And you set them in the school and you put them in the hands of the teachers, right? Great teachers in this community, principals, superintendent, Board of Education. And sometimes, people go, maybe they're not getting the right things. Coventry is a great town with a strong school system. That's why I came here in 2018, because I knew I wanted to have children. And everybody in this community cares deeply about the community and the kids. My commitment is clear to this community. The future of my kids and all the other kids in this community, I feel like we need to support, not only in the classroom, making sure the funding is going to the right places, oversight, but also policy. One of the things that I've done for the last 3 years is policy development, and it's more than just policy development. It's making sure that the right policies are being drafted, they're being followed through, they're being adhered to the way they were supposed to, and that there's oversight. And I think one of the examples is like the bullying policy, right? I heard something from one of the constituents when we did some door knocking, and they were talking about, there was a situation where it took like 3 weeks and then it happened again, and this is intolerable. And I feel like being a part of this team right here, we're going to make sure that these are the things that we're going to be looking into, amongst many other things. One of the other things that I'm a strong advocate for is security in the schools. And security in the schools is more than just making sure that the windows are locked and the doors are secure and there's surveillance. But it's also security in the policies and what we develop. And I think these are important because the value systems for our children and our future starts in the school. So if they're getting filtered things from the Capitol that is not something that's our value system, that's something that's coming home with the kids. In my background, one of the things that I did 10 years ago, I developed a youth leadership academy in the Wyndham region. And every year we had 40 or so kids in both middle school and high school, so a 40-hour program. The kids came on their summer vacations. These are actionable things. We didn't talk about it. I took them to the Capitol for a day. We did civic engagement stuff where we beautified. We did that for the last 8 years. And we talked about peer refusal skills for all the things that kids are facing amongst all the other things, like drug and alcohol prevention. I think there's so many things that we can do if we just cooperate. There's people on the other side that don't cooperate with the people, like the people in this room, where we have resources and we can get things for affordable. And the other thing is obviously making sure that we're making the right decisions with our tax dollars, because the school system is the largest budget in the community. So it's a very strong burden. I'm ready to do that, and I think this team is. I hope all four of us get on and we just shift the whole tide in our direction. Thank you.
I'll tell you, we put together one heck of a team. Group photo. Line up, guys.
Hi, guys.
Do we think they should be representing us?
Come, David, come, hurry up.
Always like this.
Good thing you weren't my kids. I should take 25 pictures. Are you all smiling?
I'm waiting for it to finally break, but we'll try not to. But can I have all the members of the Coventry RTC please stand? I want to thank you. All right, Town Council, Julie Blanchard, Matt O'Brien Sr., Luke Coons, Mark Wheaton, and somebody named John French. And here we go. Julie, would you like to start it off?
Hey, Julie.
Come on, Julie. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. I have a piece of paper here with some notes. On the door knockers on your tables, you're going to see it says, "We can do better." As a Republican, I value lower taxes, less regulation, individual rights, the ability to own property, defend ourselves and our families, and pursue happiness. In our town, the current Democrat leadership does not produce a budget that citizens find acceptable until the Republicans bring forward a plan to help get through to an acceptable budget. The Democrats have failed at onboarding our new town manager. This is something we certainly could do better at. They don't address things in a timely manner, often leaving things that need to be addressed to the next council. We recently passed a budget with a capital improvement plan. The Democrat leadership has not bothered to come to the town to go for the bonding for these capital improvements that are necessary to our infrastructure. They kick the can down the road. When we get elected, it'll probably be one of the first things we have to do. During the audience of citizens at our town council meetings, they disrespect citizens who are there to address the council. At our steering committee meeting, they've rearranged our agenda. If you want to be reappointed to a committee, they move your name further down on the agenda, they appoint somebody that they want, and then they just skip right over you. They don't even have the courage to contact you and say, "Thank you for your service. We're going to give somebody new a chance." They are not transparent and open.
with our citizens. Lastly, I feel that they welcome government interference in our lives. We have the potential for a town ordinance for home gun ranges. We have home gun ranges. They follow state and federal laws. We don't need the town supervising this. It started as a neighbor dispute. One neighbor would call the police when the other one was shooting on their very safe gun range that they have had for years. And they can't solve the neighbor dispute, so instead they're going to regulate us. And then, let me see what else. The last thing I'll share is that our town manager and our current town council chairwoman are trying to reconstruct our Parks and Rec Commission. They've taken away a lot of their responsibilities, and they even wanted to take away the word commission. They wanted to call them a committee. They're just disrespecting them. They're not listening to them, and it's a pretty bad idea. So I think that we as Republicans, we will do better. So thank
Hi, I'm Matt O'Brien. I guess I'm Matt O'Brien Senior. Never had that name before, but I'm so proud of my son, by the way, everybody. I thought he did a great job. My wife and I moved here back in 1990, so we've been here 35 years. We raised our 3 great kids here. We now have grandchildren. First thing we did when we came to the community was recognize that our schools were in dire straits. And I tried to get on the Board of Education, but I showed up and they said, no, those are filled, so you're going to have to run for the town council. So I did. So I've been on the town council in the 90s for 8 years, and then the Board of Education. I took a hiatus, and then since 2015, I've been serving on the town council except for 1 term. I also serve on my parish council, the Blessed Sacrament, and also a Knight of Columbus. I think that serving people is really, really important. Doing everything I can for my community and for my parish is very important to me. Everybody probably knows a lot about what I think. I've been doing this for so long. I am fiscally conservative. Everything that I do is to look out for the taxpayer. I want to be a good steward of your money. From starting with conservative budgeting to looking at the language of everything that's being proposed to looking at the long-term implications of things that they're doing now. It's really, really important for me to keep the town affordable, to keep our rural and historic community, vibe that we have. So my biggest job is listening to people, finding out what the needs of the community are, and then if they're appropriate, then trying to work really, really hard to find the best way, the right way, the most conservative way, the most fiscally conservative way to do what they need to do. Keep your taxes low, make sure that everything's affordable, but make sure you have everything that we need. Want to support our children in education 100%, but also provide fiscal leadership to the board, alongside the board, and try to keep those budgets conservative as well. What I really want to say tonight is I am so excited about the team that they've put together this year. It's just unbelievable. We have a lot of new blood, but we also have some, some of the older, I don't want to say older, right? Some of the more experienced people. Seasoned, there you go. But we have a lot of, I can't believe the enthusiasm, the energy, the vibe, the new ideas, the real excitement that we have. And I'm so excited to be part of this team this year. I think that we're really going to do well. I think the community needs us. I for one, and you listen to Tim Arga talk about the state legislature all the time, I for one am sick and tired of being 5-2 on the town council and trying to fight for common sense, trying to fight for just realistic ideas, trying to fight to change the language that they're using, which is going to be totally terrible for the town. Like when we bought the library building from the Library Foundation, they gave them the right to run the library for the rest of their lives any way that they want. And if we don't give them the budget they want, they can sue us and take back the building. This is the kind of nonsense that this Democrat majority does. So that's just one little example. I can give you a million. The biggest thing I can ask is that everybody get out and vote. That you go out and find, get friends, get your neighbors, It's really, really, really important. You have no idea the things that they do, that they're doing, that they're proposing, that they're trying to get, pull over on all of us, and also the costs, to the community. So Julie and I have been fighting really, really hard together. I think we've been effective, but we don't want to have to do that anymore. We want to be in the majority, and we want to lead a little bit more. Okay? So please get out and vote.
Hi everybody, I'm Luke. I'm running for Coventry Town Council. I'd like to start by thanking you all for coming here tonight. Having your support is imperative in making this town better. A year ago at our previous Harvestfest, in this very room was my first meeting and my first time interacting with many of you. I was kind of just a fly on the wall, and I could have never expected such a welcoming and wholesome group of people to come into and again be welcomed by. Y'all have been great. But to get down to brass tacks, this has been a wild year. Trump's re-election as president, the murder of Charlie Kirk, the civil unrest nationally, war on the horizon, and now the government shutdown have certainly kept the political climate interesting. Here in town, we have our own challenges to overcome. The issues regarding the Hale account, massive drainage issues across the town, and a dubious reopening of the Charter Revision Committee, just to mention a few. Through it all, I've come to a key conclusion about our RTC and the headspace of our candidates running. We all have something in common, and simply, we want the best for the people of Coventry. Not a Hartford, not some nebulous concept of equity for the people in another town, not what's best for UConn's bottom dollar, not in the best interests of the land developers who would love nothing more than to turn us into vermin, but the people and residents of Coventry. The character of this town is as much defined by the land itself as those living in it. We moved here to enjoy the beautiful forests, our arable soil, our pleasant downtown, and life outside the urban sprawl. And we here don't stand to see it sullied. Because of that, since meeting and working with all of you, I've become more emboldened, stronger in my convictions, and more proud than ever to say that I'm a Republican, a Coventry Republican. With that, I hope moving forward we can stay true in our purpose and unified under the principles of our Constitution and guided by our love of God and country. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful night.
Good evening. Mark Wheaton, running for town council. I thought quite a bit this afternoon about what I wanted to say to this group, and I went back and forth on, do I get into the issues? Do I just talk about me? Thank you.
Now they can hear you.
All right. Do I talk about the issues? Do I just talk about me? How do I want to handle this whole conversation? And here's what I came down to. Here's my commitment to you. My commitment to you is that I will fight for your values and your interests when we are elected as the majority for town council in November. All right? And to put a little more detail behind that very general statement, I will fight unnecessary and wasteful spending as I see it, as it comes across my field of view for town council. We will hold the town manager accountable, and we will make tough decisions, and we will get our budget under control. You have my commitment. I will fight government overreach. A great example Julie brought up earlier, the home gun range ordinance. In my opinion, completely unnecessary. Penalizes 12,000 residents of Coventry because two neighbors can't figure out how to get along. Talk about ridiculous. But it goes further than that. I I think when we take back the majority, we send our new council chairman to the regional capital district COG and start pushing for a little more local control over zoning, because I get the feeling that the person that's attending these meetings right now is more than happy to cede zoning control to Hartford. I could be wrong, I'm not in those meetings, but I think we need to get the right person in that seat to represent our interests more effectively. And finally, I will fight to maintain the beautiful, lovely, rural character of our town. I'm not saying we shut down every development that comes across but let's examine them carefully, let's think about them carefully, let's assess them, and let's do what's right for our people, our town, and our future. Thank you, everyone.
Great job, guys. Oh, and I'm John French, and I'm running for the town council. They've said almost everything that needs to be said, but I'm going to jump a little bit more on the zoning issue. That scares the heck out of me. Hartford, if it wasn't for Lamont, I'm not really sticking up for him, but he vetoed a bill that could have brought power or taken power away from our own zoning committee. They think that they know better. Of course, the Democrats always know better. But it's a shame that they're trying to tell us that we need about 700 affordable building units in this town. Affordable used to be low income. They just jazzed it up a little bit. The problem that you have here is that we're being told that we're not going to support a water tower that's going to help downtown. Well, what we want to do, or I want to do, and I'm sure a lot of my fellow board members, council members will agree, we need to study this very closely. You know, you ask a Democrat what's economic development, and they'll go, oh, it's economic development. We'll bring in businesses, we'll do all kinds of stuff. Economic development takes a lot more thought than this. You have to have the infrastructure, you have to have the sewer. And the sewer right now has been 10 years not being at the facilities. It's been out of compliance for 10 years and going. That needs to be changed. I sat on the board council 3 years ago where I proposed tying into Wyndham so we wouldn't have to spend $65 million on a new sewer plant. And that just sat by the wayside because the Democrats don't move on anything. It's just like the water going out to the 5 houses out in the southern part of Coventry that has the problem with salts in their water. So we finally got it passed this year. And I know I fought as much as I could off the council, and I knew my members fought really hard to get that on there. Those people deserve action quicker than 3 and 4 years of not being able to drink palatable water. But the thing is, economic development, you have to look at what it's going to do. You bring in high-power sewers, you bring in big water towers, and that's just perfect for the state to say, hey, we can develop here now, and you have nothing to say about it. So we have to be very cautious with what we say when we're saying economic development. You know, I was a big part of what happened in Wyndham back years ago. I'm sure many of you went to Walmart or the Home Depot. And Wyndham Willimantic is totally different than here. But when the roads were being widened in Wyndham, and I was finance chair of Wyndham at the time, running the finances, and I asked the state, do you mind if we throw in sewer and water while you're digging the holes, widening the roads? And we did. And you can see what happened. That's fine for Wyndham Willimantic, but I don't see that as being for Coventry. That's why I moved to Coventry, because you are a beautiful place to be. You've got the farmlands. If anybody says that we need to bring in big business, it's not going to make that much of a change unless you're looking to create jobs, which in the case of Walmart, which I was heavily involved in, they were claiming, well, we're going to bring 350 jobs. Yeah, you know what? I had to pay all the hospital bills because they didn't supply medical. All right, they barely paid minimum wage. Is that what you want to bring in? All right, what it did bring into me, and they kind of threatened me at the time, but it was about $600,000 in new revenue to Wyndham. All right, so today we'll say it's 900,000. That's about $500,000 in this town. You can never go back. Do you want to build a facility like that and lose what you have today for $500,000? I don't think the people of this community want to do that. But what we need to do as a town council is really do our due diligence to make sure we're going to have the numbers ready for you, and then we're going to bring it to you to make that decision. We're not going to be the town council that closes the door on you and decides what we're going to do. We want you to decide what is best for you and what is best for Coventry. So please, get out and vote. We need your help. And I think this is really going in a good direction. So thank you for coming tonight. We are going to go to the raffles so that you can get home at a decent time this evening. So thank you very much. Thank you to the town council members. Oh, new picture, new picture.